Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday Show, Technical Excellence Edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are Minions SkepTok.
Hi, everybody.
Sora Luna.
Hi.
And Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
Yeah, I went to start the show only to find that something has happened to StreamYards or macOS or, I don't know, solar flares. Something happened, and most of the things that we use to make the show happen just suddenly don't work, because that's a fun thing to find out 30 minutes before the show.
Did you run out of Chuck E. Cheese tokens to put in your computer to make it work?
I mean, did I not have a coupon?
Coupon?
You need that.
Ron White is a funny son of a bitch. Yeah, I mean, everybody who doesn't know about Ron White talking about,
right.
you know, some of his classic comedy, he's pretty damn smooth.
Smooth operator.
He is a smooth operator. So, okay, good. We have people here. Let's see. Blakester, Green Badger Outdoor. Okay, well, we started a little late, and that throws people off. So it's kind of a thing.
Sorry.
It's
It's technology's fault. As always, it's technology's fault.
freaking StreamYard's fault. I hate StreamYards. I hate it so much. Anyway, hi,
You
Skep.
hate it. Yeah, I love it.
How's your day been? Or actually, how
better.
have you been since we last spoke, which has been like, I don't know, a couple weeks?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, sir. You're
Yes.
Skep, right?
Yes. I'm fine. I'm the old man in the corner. No, I'm doing great. I missed last week. I just faded from the scene. I was just too tired to do it. But I'm fully jacked up with a whole bunch of caffeine. I feel like an elephant standing on my chest, and purple dots in front of my eyes, but I'll be okay. Don't worry about me.
Can't get the monkey off your back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
caffeine
got the will
is
updated.
caffeine is good stuff. Hi, James Cawley.
Hi, James.
Hello.
Yeah, no more
James.
coupons, only tokens. Yeah,
Blakester and Green Badger are here. Badger's here.
yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
A
Good to see
lot
you
of
guys.
stuff has happened this week, other than StreamYard screwing the pooch. It's hard to keep track of all of it, but we're glad to have you here, Skep. Hi, Sora.
Hello.
Eat any bougie food since we last spoke? This is going to be my new standard question for you.
She did today.
I cooked a beautiful flank steak for lunch and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And put that on top of salad.
It looks very nice.
Yeah, that is good. I like that. Flank steak is a good thing, but that's okay. I have to remember we're not talking about food because this is not Sanguine's night. We try to leave that as his domain for things. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the class before we get into the topics of the week?
I'm being ignored now. I see how it is.
No, you're next.
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
I'm just talking to people in the order in which they joined the stream.
No, nothing pressing yet. I'll think
Okay.
about it.
You've been on a lot of stream nights lately. You were on
Yes.
last night with
Yes.
with Adam. Adam is just like being such a trooper. He's hosting a
taking
lot of
over
nights.
tomorrow as
stuff.
well, I think.
Yeah, and also Monday, I think.
It's the Adam long weekend.
Yeah, it is the Adam Long weekend. I was actually in chat at the end of last night's show, and I thought about just saying, well, you know, if you want to make it 4 in a row, we can hook you up. I don't think he really wanted to do that.
Let's not kill the poor
I
boy.
forget
Yeah.
who has the record, if it's Sanguine or me, for going the most number of nights in a row. I think it's 5. I think we've both done it.
I think I thought you, Skep, and Prospero were like the ones who've gone the longest
Yeah. Well,
in a row.
yeah. There was one time when Prospero or I shared every single night for like 10 days or something. I think there was one other host, but it was almost in 2 weeks.
Skep, can you move a little closer to your mic? I think you're
Absolutely.
I think you're
I was
drifting
turning
backwards.
My head away.
That's
Can
okay.
you hear me now?
We could hear you
hear me now?
before. You're just getting a little quiet. That's all.
Yeah. So anyhow, yep. I don't know what the records are, but I know Prospero and I did host a whole bunch of.
It's
nights
not
in a
a
row.
record you want to win, you know.
No, it's not a good thing. You know, it was just one of those things where everybody was doing stuff.
I was working on a project for a customer that I won't name, and it was I ended up working just a ridiculous number of hours, but a friend of mine had worked more at one point. He actually had an Indian guy as his boss. And my friend brought in his time card, and the guy said, and this is not a thing that Indian people typically say, is, holy cow, I've never seen so many hours on that time card before.
Yeah.
he was billing like 120 something hours in a week. You know, just some number like that.
There's only 168 hours in a week, boys and girls.
Yeah.
If you're billing 120 hours, that means that you have 5 8-hour sleeps during the week. Yeah, think about
Yeah,
that.
it's not good. And it's also a young person's game too. It gets
By the way-
decidedly harder as you get older.
Exactly. That. Yeah. There's no way I could do that, and I used to do that.
No, understood. Hi, Serenity.
Hello.
Man, between the two of us, it's going to be a contest to see who hates StreamYard more.
It's been fucking with me longer.
Yeah, we'll find a solution and maybe something better that'll let us make the show actually a little better. Because
I think your guys' expectations are too high.
Yeah, God
expect
forbid
it
the
to
music
work.
does your work.
Well, you expect it to work and be fit for purpose. I think asking both of those things from a piece of software is a lot.
I want it to be as reliable as a defibrillator. You know, I just, and when I turn it on, I want it to actually work.
So you want it to be able to try, or you want it to be as effective? Because most times the defibrillation.
I want it to at least go bzzzt when I press the button.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you there.
I want it to be as reliable as my memories of Skype were, because I never had a problem with Skype.
Yeah, well, we might be using Skype next week, so let's.
It's called Teams. I don't think it's called Skype anymore.
No, Skype still exists. There was Skype for Work, which ended up becoming Teams.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, well, okay, somewhat funny story. I actually have a customer who uses Teams, and for some strange reason, when they set up the Skype for Work thing, it sucked in like the avatar that I use on my personal Skype, and that has been now sucked into Teams, and because of the way they have their permissions set up, nobody can change it. It's like and it's just totally not the right thing for work.
Oh,
Nice.
no.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it isn't like, you know, Urban Dictionary type of stuff. It's just not what's supposed to be there. And so people have said, "Why have you got that thing there?" And I said, "I can't change it. Just keep going.
Go with
It's
me.
not
Just go with me."
interesting." But every now and then,
So-
some sea level will ask me about it. I'm like, I can't do anything about it.
Some sea
Like, leave me
level,
alone. Leave
Yeah.
me alone.
sea level.
God damn.
I found out the hard way that Teams, part of Office work, like Suite and stuff like that, and so whatever we use Teams internally at work. And I found out the hard way that by putting a user pick on Teams, it becomes the user pick for my work email,
Oh yeah, nice.
which
What did
is
you put?
a screaming goat, a goat that's screaming to the sun. I mean, it's not inappropriate, but it's not exactly medical often. I very rarely email
Goat
from, like,
screaming
never
at
to a
the sun.
patient, but, you know, we do.
Sora.
So I was like, and then after the first few emails, realized what it was. I was like, fuck it. Just not changing it.
You actually made me feel a lot better, because now I kind of feel like my little problem is just not that important compared to the screaming goat picture.
I was like, well,
Wow.
oh well.
Well, we've been busy with all this stuff. SpaceX launched a huge ass rocket. Their second attempt to
blow it
launch
up
the
real
biggest
good.
biggest rocket in the world.
Did they find it?
What?
I don't know how long the delay is, but I'm not seeing anything on the channel. Other
Well,
than
that's
your
why you should
background.
look at StreamYards, as bad as it is, because it will take a few seconds for it to show up.
I know. Okay, I'm gonna keep watching it.
In order to go in 4K, it's
there.
actually a
There it goes,
somewhat
okay.
substantial
There it is.
delay.
Oh,
It's
Yeah,
irritating.
God.
Same mirror.
Okay, YouTube sucks too. All this technology is just terrible.
This is
I don't-
the suck, Harry.
I know. All right. Well, anyway.
Sorry, I
So
got paranoid.
SpaceX took its giant Starship thing, which ultimately is going to help us get people to the moon again, and made their second attempt to launch it. Now, this is, I mean, in all fairness, this is a huge endeavor. This time, the first stage actually functioned the way it was supposed to, and you don't see any dark spots there where Merlin engines just stopped functioning.
Right.
And they
All
had...
the engines are working.
Yeah, they had first and second stage separation. And late in the second stage phase of the boost, they had to auto detonate because something went wrong. But they got a lot further this time than they did last time.
It was so beautiful when it separated. That was one of the most inspiring, amazing things. After it separated and started that to do its maneuver, you know, that belly flop thing, just before it was detonated. And the detonation itself was quite beautiful.
What is the sudden unplanned disassembly? I can't remember what the euphemism is that they use for that.
The rapid unscheduled disassembly.
The rapid unscheduled disassembly. That's actually a pretty nice picture. Look at that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it's coming along. I mean, the ultimate plan is to essentially get a bunch of methane and oxidizer up into orbit in sort of a orbital fuel station. And then they're going to go up in one of these things and then top off the tanks and head to the moon. Because it uses all of the fuel to get up into orbit, to get this big-ass spaceship up into orbit. So at some point, they need to essentially run multiple runs of rockets to set up the fuel depot so that they can then go to the moon and do this. There was ultimately going to try to do more in this particular test, but I think most people, including NASA, seem to think it was mostly a success. You know, even though they didn't go as far as they hoped to go, they still went so much further than last time. It's
such a cool
really
picture.
hard. I'm sorry?
That's such a cool picture.
It's such a cool picture.
It looks fake. Like, it looks like China propaganda fake.
Yeah. Well, luckily, it's actually real.
Yeah.
The moment of stage separation for SpaceX's second Starship rocket and Super Heavy booster. Image credits SpaceX.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Because, yeah, I'm just glad that it went better. It's too bad they weren't able to do most of an orbit and complete all the tests they wanted to do, but this is still pretty significant progress.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know people who hate Elon Musk, so they just assume that SpaceX is run by a bunch of idiots. I don't think people fully appreciate how much SpaceX has accomplished.
Oh my God, they absolutely have. This is the reason why a private effort is always going to be
That looks
better
like the ice.
than a government sponsored effort, because the government sponsored effort has too many masters. There's too many things other than the success of the project that need to happen. Here, when you have the private industry sponsoring this kind of thing, the only thing they care about is making progress. The only thing they care about is the thing working. That kind of focus alone will always give private enterprise an advantage in something like this, in my opinion.
Well, there's another private space thing going on. Well, we actually have a fair amount of space news tonight, but
Space is big.
this is another story that I thought was actually kind of interesting. So this is called Dream Chaser, and it's a
I heard about
product of
this.
Sierra Space. They got this thing just about ready to launch, and it's a space plane. Because why not? Everybody loves a space plane. I know I do. And
I want one.
they essentially got it just about ready to launch and then laid off like a whole bunch of people. It has every indication of just running on fumes. You know, they need to have a success or this thing is just not going to happen. And I take no pleasure in that because I would love to see I mean, who doesn't want a space plane? The cool thing about this is not just as you can put people in it and it's reusable and it can land on a runway like the space shuttle did, is that it can be sort of run from the ground and have autonomous experiments in it. And this kind of thing is actually quite capable of just quite happily just orbiting the Earth for 90 days doing experiments.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome for the military applications and the scientific applications and the civilian applications. If you want a platform where you want to put an experiment up in orbit in low gravity and you want to run it for weeks and weeks and weeks or months, you can put it on this thing. You can pay them money to put on there, and then they will bring your experiment back to you, and you can then look at the results and collect all, because sometimes getting the data isn't enough. You actually want the thing at the end of it.
What like doing the testers where you like not so much use artificial reality, but run all the algorithms that you can think of that something happened if it was in space isn't the same as actually running it in space. And it's how everything always goes with science. They can do every test variable, but then when they run it in actual time, they find something that they didn't either attribute for or something. And it's always really cool. I hope it does. I hope they have a win.
Well, the
or
commercial
at the very least, SpaceX like joins up them or something like that to get that thing off the ground.
Well, they're. I think that the successful commercialization of space is good. We want competition. It's not really good for us to have SpaceX be the only private company. You know. Yeah. So
It's
I
still,
hope
it's
they
like
do well. And this isn't, in a lot of ways, I don't really view them as a competitor to SpaceX. This is This is another type of product that's very similar, but actually has very different sort of use profiles.
Right.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay.
All right. Well, we were not supposed to talk about that yet, but I couldn't help myself.
Hey, cool.
Yeah, it's okay. Hey, I have an otter update for you.
Yeah.
Did the bitch start acting up again, even though she's not pregnant anymore?
Well, I mean, her baby's actually gotten a lot bigger. Look at this
Well,
little.
yeah,
Look at this
babies
little.
do.
Yeah,
Look at the little nugget. Oh my
he's
god.
so much bigger than last time. She's obviously a pretty decent mom. There you go, Sora.
Well, I mean, can you imagine being heavily pregnant and avoiding the authorities? That takes some skill.
Well, the authorities have stopped going after her now that she has a kid.
Oh yeah, but I mean, before anybody knew she
It's
had
not
a
so
kid,
much an
though.
anchor baby as a buoy baby.
Exactly. You ain't making me leave, bitch.
Terrible. Love
A
it.
sweet little boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice story. There's Otter 841
Boy.
being good, and that little pup has gotten big really fast.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, she's been chomping down on delicious boards, right?
yeah. Well, I think if they
The
do like a
restaurants there are some restaurants seriously that little otter can go to that are right in that area, in that Monterey area, right there along the waterfront. That's why it's getting bad. It's going to those restaurants.
you think it's I wouldn't be surprised if people are there just throwing anchovies at the poor thing, just going, here, eat.
I would. Take the fish.
Monterey
Adela,
actually,
take the fish.
Monterey has the second highest per capita restaurant rate of any city in the United States. What's
Nice.
number one?
New York City.
Nope. New York City was 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Definitely too
that's
far off.
which is amazing when you think of how big New York City is. Well, no, they
Oh,
said
yeah.
Manhattan. That's what it was.
Well, you mean
Oh,
rate,
man.
as in like per capita.
But yeah, I mean the number of restaurants per person who lives in that city.
I don't know.
You
I would
gotta-
think it would be a small town, though.
It isn't.
Oklahoma
Hey,
City.
who is it?
It's San Francisco.
Well, I mean, we'll fix that.
Yeah,
Give it time, yeah.
that used to be the statistic. That was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Something I had rattling around back there.
Well, while we have somebody qualified to talk about the ocean on, let's talk about how much the ocean sucks.
I can.
So a group of orcas actually decided to attack another boat. So for nearly an hour, a bunch of orcas just pummeled this boat, and they were being complete assholes about it.
When you say orcas, you mean the killer whales, right?
Well, I mean
whales.
orcas, but we can call them
Or are you
killer
talking about
whales.
sperm whales?
No, I'm
Sperm
talking about
whales will go after
orcas,
boats. Yeah. Okay.
So-
the
Okay.
black and white ones.
KWs. Yeah.
Is there a reason why they're not doing it, like the ones that we have or in and around America? And
I don't think they've gotten the memo yet around here. This seems to be a
Yeah.
Mediterranean thing, but it says here a pod of orcas has attacked and sunk another boat in southwestern Europe after relentlessly bombarding the vessel and its crew for almost an hour on Halloween. It is the fourth time that orcas from this region's population have sunk a vessel in the last 2 years. So
Good.
the orcas, well, the orcas actually just started pummeling like the rudder on this thing and hitting the rear of the boat until it started taking on water. So the authorities showed up and were able to take the boat and tow it into harbor. But by the time this happened, essentially they got the people off and then the boat sank because it was no longer seaworthy because orcas
Yeah.
are assholes.
Yes.
At
So
least
what they did was they probably breached the engine compartment, which is all that stuff down by the stern and way below the water line. That's
Yep.
how they flooded. That's why.
Well, it says the orcas, also known as killer whales, repeatedly hit the yacht's rudder, causing major damage and allowing water into the vessel's hull. Despite receiving aid from the Moroccan Navy and being towed towards safety, the boat eventually sank as it entered the port of Tanger Med in Morocco. All passengers were safely evacuated to rescue boats before the ship sank. So, it's a coordinated, well-planned effort to sink that boat. The
Good
orcas,
to know
a
they're
pod
out
of
there
orcas.
thinking of us.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like some pretty organized antisocial behavior on the part of the orcas.
You see some weird. You see some weird things with whales. Let's see. I'm just gonna leave it there.
Well,
I'm sorry.
well,
Go
it's
ahead,
like,
Serena.
it's like I'm gonna put the tinfoil hat on, and it just like this is very weird. They're acting like they're trained. Like
They
little-
have chips in their brains and they're being commanded by
Well,
something.
maybe one got out of SeaWorld. Maybe it was one of the ones that was released from
I was-
SeaWorld, and he's teaching them how to be evil.
I'm
Maybe.
just thinking about the beluga whale that got trained by the Russians to be a spy. I'm like, that's where my brain went. That now like escaped and like
What's this
sucks
now?
up. You never heard about that? You know, okay, you know the very well known video that you see on social media all the time of the beluga whale bringing an iPhone back up from the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
That whale was an escaped spy whale. Well, not escaped, that spy whale, but he was trained to kind of take trackers and everything like that by the Russian military, and then he escaped, and now he sucks up to tourists. So he
That's adorable and
understands.
amazing.
He understands certain commands and stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's
Escaped or was set free.
I mean, he could have been set free. I will go
That
tinfoil
was a
hat with you,
callback
Red.
to what Gandalf says about Gollum and Gollum.
Yeah, but
Never mind.
Well,
the only thing that would make it funnier is if it was a dolphin with an oxygen pack on its back and it reported to a thing called Sequest.
Yeah, there you go.
here's
There
what
you
makes
go.
it
Good
funnier
call.
to
Good
me.
call out.
So they realize there's a problem. So in this area where the attacks are going on, sailors were playing heavy metal to scare killer whales.
Oh, that's what you got. So asshole. So the killer whales are responding assholes.
Yes, some
not
sailors
starting
off the
assholes.
Iberian coast are turning to heavy metal to deter orcas from ramming into their boats. A marine mammal researcher told Insider that the strategy could backfire. The music will also add to human-made ocean noise, which is a major issue for marine animals. Yeah, marine mammals in particular have enough crap to contend with.
Yeah.
Having a bunch
Most of
of
it killer
heavy
whales.
metal, like really get some of that Northern European death metal. I think that
I
would.
was going to say the Finnish death metal, man. That's the nasty stuff. Oh,
If you play Bjork, it might just get them horny. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Hit those high frequency notes. Just yeah. So sailors using heavy metal music to deter orchids, backfires, yada yada. Because if anything, what you're doing is just saying, "Hey, there's people here. Why don't you come
Yeah.
ram this boat?"
Let's put a target on our back, shall we?
I mean, you can. We've covered stories in the past about them playing classical music outside of public libraries to keep homeless people from, like, taking up residence in the grounds around the library.
Yes.
And we all know the stories about playing high frequency noises to drive teenagers away because they can hear these ridiculous high frequencies. There's lots of fun things you can do with sound, but to think that, I'm not sure I understand the whole thought process. It's just sort of like, I don't like heavy metal. Maybe the whales won't like it. Let's just get a giant speaker and put it in the water and turn it up to 11. I don't.
It's rather a unique thought process.
yeah.
Well, I think it does indicate a level of desperation, shall we say? I mean, it's reached the point where stupid ideas are like, well, why don't we just give it a try?
It's
let's
the
shoot for
only
it.
idea.
How often is this happening?
Yeah.
Well, it's only happened 4 times in the last couple of years, but it seems to be happening more frequently. So it's a little bit of a concern. I mean, they are attacking and sinking boats, plural.
Yeah.
It's
I
just-
mean-
it's really kind of weirdly targeted. It feels like something happened to either this pod or ones that were part of the pod, and now they all want blood. Like that's what this feels like. Just
You know
saying.
what I want to? I want to see if this is transient, which I bet it is. I'll bet this is something that will pass. And I also suspect we're not getting the full story. Doesn't
Yeah,
it feel like you're not getting quite the full story? Wait a minute, what?
it feels like something happened to like either a matriarch was killed, because this is like similar to what the problem.
Yeah, there's
you
some
could look
other
it up.
motivation in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because there
trying to
was
say. Yeah.
A game preserve in Africa, I think it was Africa, like 10 or 15
Yeah.
years ago. They couldn't figure out why the elephants kept attacking
Yeah.
rhinos and killing them. And then they realized they don't have a they didn't have bulls around, and they didn't have a
Yeah,
matriarch.
they didn't have matriarch to
And
calm
then
down
when
the males.
when they found older bull, like a very old bull, and a very old matriarch, and brought them into the fold, they all started to calm down. They stopped killing rhinos. Like it was a news story, because I remember it was like on Discovery Channel or something like that years ago. Because I remember watching it, going, "Well, that's interesting."
So maybe they need like an old whale.
Well, it might have been
imported.
the boats may have, like a boat that was similar to what they were attacking may have hurt or killed like a matriarch, and now they hold vendettas. Orcas are smart. They've been known to hold grudges.
Yeah, definitely, very definitely. Yeah, they're funny. They're funny, but they're tremendously sadistic. And,
Oh yeah. Just ask the sea lions.
Well, there's no good segue to this next topic here. And this is only going to be like 5 minutes between these two stories. But
Oh, that's what
killer
you're saying
whale
now.
too.
California regulators approved PG&E to raise rates in 2024. So
Of course
they
they
wanted to raise them by 18%. They've already raised them 38% over the last few years.
Wait. They want to raise them how much?
Well, they wanted to raise them 18, but they were able to raise them 12.
They raised your electric rates 12%?
Well, they've only raised them 38% over the last few years, Scaps. This is another 12 on top of it.
Okay, this is trying to punish you for using electricity. This is one of those things that a literal regressive tax against the poor.
Well,
Changed
okay.
my mind.
No,
Why not?
there's more. Part of it's
Technically, it's not regressive. I know.
no, part of it's sort of a fuck around and find out type thing. So, as you may recall, there were some fires that killed a bunch of people that were sparked by PG&E equipment that burned
Yes.
down the House of Paradise and killed like a ton of people. I forget how many. It was like 100-something people. It's a lot of people to be dying in a fire. And so they got sued into near oblivion. And now they have all these lawsuits to pay off. And everybody's kind of like, oh, yeah, cool. People are going to get their restitution money. Well, the money just comes out of the utility, and then the utility has to pay for it somehow. And so what they're doing is they're like, well, if you don't want gas explosions, we have to fix all the gas lines. And if you don't want problems with fires, then we can either turn the power off all the time when the wind blows, and you don't want that. So we have to bury all the electric lines. Therefore, you need to give us a shit ton of money. And so you have this story, coming on, and
How do
then
you do?
on top of it, you've got stories like this where people are saying, well, a Christmas without lights, families struggle to pay bills as California regulators consider electric rate increases. And so they tell this story about this woman and her kids, and they turned off her power. And she used to work for Tesla, but she got injured, so she's laid off, and so she can't do her second job doing janitorial stuff, making extra money on the side, and this whole sort of story about about how horrible it is, and on top of everything else, she can't afford to keep the lights on. And the implication is sort of like power should just be a human right. They already give people who have less income like big discounts on their electric bill.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, all dickishness aside, it is making it so that line where you can't afford to live in California just got a little bit higher.
Yep.
And there's going to be more people underneath that line every single time they raise those rates. That's part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, if it wasn't for the fact that people would steal copper, if I was in kind of any housing community, I would go full Fallout 4, not go nuclear, stay with me,
Yeah.
but go, hey, can we co-op a solar station? our neighborhood, like the houses that can never sell. Can we just like put money together, knock it down, just put like a bunch of solar panels here, and then we all feed off of it, at least to keep our fridges going when the power goes out, or to take a little bit of the edge off? Because that's where this is going. Like they're gonna, like, if anybody can figure out how to make that work really well, they'll do bank in California.
Well, solar has already reached the point where many people, where it used to be almost none, can now just go off grid, and that's one of the things PG&E is really concerned about.
As they should be, but
as they should be, because if you have enough solar panels, you can effectively just use the grid for nothing but backup or a mechanism to sell power. And PG&E is not real happy with this. They would rather just take your money.
Yeah.
You know, be the good little cog in the machine that we put together, and don't cause any trouble.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So certainly you could create small private public utilities. You could also get people together and sort of pool their buying power to maybe create some sort of buying pool where they get a discounted rate over all of them. There's a lot of things they could do.
Yeah.
But the main thing what people are going to do ultimately is they're going to realize, maybe I can't afford to live in California, so rather than be homeless, maybe one of the other 49 states might make more sense. Because people will say, well, I have a right to live. Well, yeah, you absolutely have a right to live, but you don't necessarily have a right to live any damn place you want.
Yeah.
You know, if you went to Waikiki Beach, you know, in Honolulu, and you just decided, I want to live here, I just want to live on the beach, that would not go over well. You know, you have no right to just claim that for yourself. And a lot of times remember when those people, the migrants showed up in Martha's Vineyard?
Yes.
They packed them a nice lunch and told them how brave they were and sent them on their way the next day.
Pat them on their butt.
Sure did.
And you don't see homeless encampments being built in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people don't necessarily, you know, you may have a right to exist, but you don't necessarily have a right to exist any damn place you want at somebody else's expense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the right thing to do might be just to make it easier for people who, for whatever reason, can't live in California, to just find some place that works better for them.
And I agree with Assassin. Leave your voting record in the state you came from.
Yeah, no
Come to my
kidding.
state, because I've seen more California plates in my state. Leave your driving ability in California, and leave your voting bullshit in California. We're doing just fine here. Don't fuck it up.
Well, maybe this is a skep question, but states can set their own voting requirements within reason, right? As long as they're not discriminatory. Is there...
It can't contravene a federal requirement.
Right. Would it be possible to set some sort of residency period that's not unreasonable, only after that you're allowed to vote in a particular state?
Sure, absolutely. Louisiana does that, for example, and that's one that I just happen to know about. Depends on the election. They can't set residency requirements for things like federal elections, but they can. Now, and they can under some circumstances. There are restrictions. There's both cases and legislation that restrict the kinds of restrictions that the local governments can put on their local elections. They can't do anything on federal elections, but they definitely can for local elections. That's, you know, central to our method of government is a strong electoral state. You know, the states have a lot of control over that. And so do even localities like counties and cities can set their own requirements too.
It's like, I think we have in West Virginia a year. I think you have to live here, like be a full-time resident.
I'll tell you what it is real quick.
I could be very wrong. That may have been a pipe dream. Do you know there was a woman who tried to get into office here in West Virginia, and people found out she only lived in Ohio, and were like, doesn't matter if it's across the bridge, bitch. You can't just, like, because it'll be official here. You have to live here 5 years. You have to have an actual residence, and you actually have to live here. But yeah, no, it's like, I think it needs to be a rule, like a year to 2 years. You have to live in the state and actually live there full time before you can start voting in local stuff. Federal, absolutely, you can't control the federal part.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like actual like state level stuff, like you actually have to live in the state.
But it's not enough to really address the issue of idiots moving to other states and taking their bad voting with them. I just want to just sort of, I don't know, create,
Dialogue.
basically just sort of, put a little inductance loop in there that just sort of slows down the rate of change a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Give them time to actually talk to their neighbors and learn how stupid they are before they actually pick up a ballot and get it to start poking holes in it. Just a thought. Anyway, that wasn't something I was going to say. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel sorry for these people. I feel sorry for any of the actually deserving poor people who through no fault of their own might be disabled and whatever, people who really, really deserve charity and probably should be getting it from private charities, not the government. Just to be clear.
Okay, you want to know the entire thing for West Virginia?
It's probably like 2 lines. Go for it.
Okay. I'm reading from the law. You are eligible to vote in West Virginia if you, A, at 17 years of age, provided you will be 18 by the next general election, and you are a U.S. citizen. Those are the only 2 things.
Yep. Okay. That's what I figured because I think they were trying to get it changed. But I remember the 17 part because government officials came to my high school and had a sign-up booth for registering to vote when we were 17. I remember that.
Yeah.
When you were starting to say you are eligible, I thought you were saying URL, and I swear in my mind I said, God damn it, Skep is going to read that off phonetically using the radio operator's alphabet, isn't he? URL H,
I have turned into Joe Biden.
There you go.
Charlie, Alpha,
Turn
Lima, Mike, Alpha, Tango, Echo. Yeah, no.
Those are, you just gave all correct old phonetic alphabet. Did you know that, Harry? Did you know you knew it?
Yeah, I do know that I know it.
Okay, that's interesting. It's not very many people know that.
I have a diagram somewhere around here with the radio operators thing, but yeah, and it's changed over time. Obviously,
it's changed even now. I don't even know it correctly anymore.
Yeah, and I have to think about a few of them, but most of the time, I'm okay. Every now and then, I'll get on some call with somebody, and I'm just like, oh, it's great. We lost like about a third of our viewers when I started doing that. Cool. All right. Anyway.
Would Assassin just put uniform Romeo Lima?
Yeah. But he said URL.
I know.
URL.
Let me spell it out for you.
Uniform Resource Locator.
Just a slight weird thing. When I used to work at the cable company, we had the full list of the it's the military like phonetic thing where it's like is alpha, all that kind of stuff, and that's how we had to read it to people if we did anything with letters. So I have that practically memorized because I stared at it for so many days.
It's a good thing to know.
Yeah, it's one of those things though. I was like, I wish you leave my brain. I need room for other things.
All right, so let's see. What is the next thing? Company behind Miss Universe files for bankruptcy after transgender controversy. Now, obviously, this is a New York Post, so this is the way the headline works. I don't know if it's the transgender controversy that caused this to happen.
Yeah.
I think it may just be that things like the Miss Universe pageant are kind of an anachronism that is just sort of going away.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's not. No one.
I don't think all the transgender controversy necessarily helped.
It didn't, but yeah.
But I was unaware of the fact that essentially the Miss Universe pageant had been sold to a Thai business tycoon, who is him, her, their self's transgender.
I didn't know that.
They said it was a liquidity problem as the core issue is the according to this article that I read about it.
Yeah. Well, that tends to happen when you don't have enough dollars coming in for all the dollars that need to go out. Unless they're claiming they just have like a huge gold nugget that they haven't been able to fence. I mean, there are different kinds of liquidity.
True.
Yeah, well, they're virtue rich but cash poor. I don't know. How does that work? And then they have this picture here, and I'm just the shallow part of me was just looking at this picture from the article and thinking, am I supposed to identify who's trans in this picture? How does this game work? I don't understand. It doesn't matter, but does this mean that Miss Zimbabwe, the first white Miss Zimbabwe in history, is not going to get to compete?
Not in this universe.
Yeah. She can
wonder
just compete in the contest of life.
I wonder if the Mrs. is by the same group, or if the Mrs. is going to go away, because the Mrs. universe and Mrs. America have been doing really well the last few years. That's for the married women.
Mm-hmm.
Married women with children, I think, is what it. Or
Did
at
you
least
know
to
that
have
the
age.
Thai business tycoon is transgender? You did know that, right?
I
Yeah,
did
Gary
after I
said it.
read this article, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely did not hear you say that it was the same one. I didn't realize it was the same. That the tycoon, the Thai business tycoon, is also
The Thai tycoon, yes.
a
Yeah.
tranny, and Anne Jackra Judatip.
Oh God, what a name!
Anne Jackra.
I wasn't
Judatip.
even going to try to pronounce that, Skep. So good for you.
Judatip.
No, Thai
for
doesn't
you.
sound like that. Actually, Thai
No.
cooking is pretty amazing.
Thai is like, you know how Vietnamese sounds like Chinese when they're mad at each other? Thai sounds like right after they made up. That it's a very gentle sounding language to my ear.
I
Of
did-
course, I mean, I was used to Vietnamese, and
Well, I did tell you that a friend of mine, I haven't seen her in quite a while, but I mean, we used to see each other more, used to be Miss Thailand. And
really, Oh,
yeah,
that's why
and
you
so
told
so
me the
Miss
story.
Thailand and I went to
Hanging
lunch,
out.
went to lunch together on to discuss business on Valentine's Day. Miss Thailand and I had lunch,
Ooh.
and so I'm sitting here. I mean, it wasn't a big deal for me. I mean, it's just she's a friend of mine. I know her because of. She's a friend of mine, business. It's not a big deal. It wasn't a date. It was just I just
friends like
happened to be
friends,
having
though,
lunch.
right?
I just happened to be having lunch with Miss Thailand, and it was near a university, and all of these guys were having Valentine's Day early meals with their girlfriends.
Oh no!
And there was this one guy who was staring so intently at my friend that I looked out in the corner of my eye. I saw the girl he was with pick up the menu and smack him in the head with it to try to get his attention.
Nice.
As deserved.
That is one of my
Yeah.
favorite stories, so I apologize if I've said that too many times. All right.
That sounds like a humble brag to me.
I wasn't dating her. That would be a humble brag. I just know her.
I
However,
know her.
well, I mean, we actually did
I-
talk about Thailand, but I don't want to. I don't want to
fucking
say
with
things
you
I'm
there,
not
you're
supposed to
fine.
say. Thailand is an interesting place, and the politics and the traditions and stuff are. It's
very
a pretty
interesting.
darn interesting place.
Have you spent much time there?
No, I just know that what my friend has told me about it.
It is. I've only spent a few weeks there, but it's. I like it. I like Thailand. I'm a big fan, and
Lady boys.
I maybe it's just because I ran into a lot of good people there, but
Yeah.
it's modern, forward thinking. It's like they remind me of Israel in some ways.
You know
Is that a
where
good
else?
segue?
You know where else some really cool people seem to come from, just based on people I've run into. Singapore. I've run into some really
Yeah.
delightful people from Singapore.
That's how I got to Thailand, was when I was commuting to Singapore. I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you completely. The Singaporeans are I found them to be just magnificent and intelligent and completely fascist. But that is a fascist country. There's literally a fascist dictator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then they want to go
runs
back because they just like the way things work.
That's right. They like their country just like that. And when you're looking in like the Straits Times, that government-owned newspaper of the government owns the only newspaper that's allowed to operate in Singapore. That's how tight the control is. There's only one newspaper, and it is owned by the government, and it really loves the dictator.
Well, we don't necessarily
great.
need a palate cleanser. Okay, we don't need a palate cleanser, but we can have one anyway.
They're always welcome.
Okay, so let's just look at this one. So this is a frozen Alaska lake. Look at how
I've seen this.
see-through
This
this
is
is.
Anchorage to freeze, so the ice was thick enough for skating, but still clear
It's so
enough
cool.
that you
That
could
is
see
so
right through
cool.
to the bottom. That's
I've
They
never
have
seen a
the-
frozen lake that was that transparent. Because you know, for the ice to form that way, you would have to, you would need very specific conditions.
Like it's
Normally,
something
ice
like it has to
doesn't.
freeze really quickly. Like it has to
freeze
be.
very quickly and be very calm.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
It's so
That's
cool
what
though.
that is.
this makes me want to learn how to ice skate. Is what
Would
it does.
terrify the bejesus out of me though, because I'd just be like, I'm just take God, just there.
So I think you deserve one more because we can, right? We can do one
Yeah.
more. Okay. Okay, here's a trooper uses pit maneuver to arrest burnout suspect. Look at this.
Oh, I've
pit
seen this
maneuver.
one too. That's cool.
This video sent to 11 Alive tonight from Northside Drive.
We don't necessarily need the audio, but
Yes.
look at this idiot in the truck. I don't know
That was
if
a
you can
nice-
see it. Look at these
Nice assassination term.
driving through,
Got
Oh,
a pit
here
in
it
and
one
then here
ear.
comes this cop, and he's like, "No, we're not chasing you. We're not letting you get away. We're not doing
Yep.
anything."
Oh, that's beautiful.
You just
It
get
was
the
so
pit and
smooth.
He,
look
he
at
was
that
so
guy.
good too. He got out of that car real fast. had
Jumped up on the
gun out.
hood, gun drawn. He is not messing around.
Oh,
I guarantee
it looks
you
like he
that
has him
cop-
by the ear.
that
Oh my
cop-
God, this is so embarrassing for him.
I guarantee you that cop used the word motherfucker right there.
Oh, more
Yeah.
than once, yeah. You motherfucking son of a bitch.
Yeah,
dare
well,
you.
Wow, that was impressive.
that was impressive. I enjoyed that. Let's watch that again. Cause,
Yeah, let's see
Yeah.
it again.
Like he was like Zoro said. I
oh,
think
that's
she's
right.
right. I
They
think he
won't
had
let
by-
me. It has to play it all over again. That's
Yeah.
fine. We can let it play over again.
But
No,
I think
I.
Zoro was
I like
right. I think he
seeing
had
him,
him by the ear.
But cops are
good
not.
on- he looks
Cops are
good
not
on the
messing
ground.
around.
Yeah.
The ones that haven't
Ha-ha,
retired
having a good
early
time.
are just. Yeah, look at me. You're not going to get me, cupper.
See,
Hey,
wait.
Like we didn't do shit.
something's wrong. Wait a minute. What's
Hey, I'm
this
just trying to
maniac
drive
doing?
away from this sideshow. What do you mean?
Then he gets out and points a gun at him.
Yeah, and then climbs up on the hood of his own car, gets in the guy's face, and drags
I'll
him out
do
by the ear. Let's
anything
just say
you
it's the
want me
ear.
to.
Let's just say it's the ear.
I am your bitch.
This makes me
Any
happy.
fucking thing you want, officer.
This makes me happy. I like
Yeah, it
this.
does.
Well, you tell that cop has had either a lot of practice or he was trained really well because he did that beautiful. He knew where to hit him. He knew how to get out of the car.
He got up
knew-
on that hood really fast, very
Yeah.
easily. That was a good move.
Like, I'm impressed with her. I
Okay,
hope
so
you
the
get a
next
raise.
the next thing is, I don't know if it's really annoying or if I just don't care. It's just another example of Hollywood being stupid. Now, I have nothing against Zendaya. I have nothing against Zendaya.
Oh yeah, this.
But for a historical drama of any sort, why is Zendaya going to play Cleopatra? A Greek.
has it actually been officially announced? Because the last time I searched it, it was just a rumor.
Is she black?
She's half.
Yeah.
Is she gay?
No.
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 Well,
lame?
she hasn't.
No.
She hasn't come out yet.
Why
Well,
is
no,
she not
she's
lame
actually
and gay?
she's dating Spider-Man. What's
yeah.
his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. They're very adorable
cute
together.
together.
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah,
into
she's taller than him
arthropods.
without
That's
heels.
So Dennis Shemp, Villanueva, the
Villanueva,
acclaimed
you're right.
director behind films like Blade Runner
Villeneuve.
2049 Arrival, has some exciting projects lined up, blah, 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 blah. The screenplay for Cleopatra is said to be written by David Scarpa. Don't care, don't care, don't care. But yeah, no, it's it looks official to me.
Okay. Well, it's
know.
just when I checked other stuff, it didn't say.
Maybe-
that she'd
maybe I'm wrong.
officially-
Daniel Craig as Caesar. You can do
Ooh,
it.
Ew, that's a little.
that's a
He'd be-
little.
He'd be
That's
a
creepy. That's
That's
a creepy age
creepy.
difference. That's
Yeah.
a creepy age difference.
Timothy Chalamet as Octavius, I think that actually bugs me more.
Oh,
That
oh,
bugs
they're-
me too. But
Uh,
yeah.
like,
who's
like-
who's Mark Anthony?
yeah, that's also matters. Does it say?
I don't know.
They're trying to get divine for Mark Anthony.
Okay. Yeah, I just think that in historical things, I just leave things the way they are. Just be historically accurate. If you're talking about history, I think distorting history for whatever reason is just stupid.
No, I do think it would be really, really funny if they gave red hair.
I think I'm going to just give this a hard pass on general principle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Villanueva's stuff. It's usually a
Yeah.
little too for me. So that's understandable.
Well, anyway, this is just a minor little stop in our thing. So, here's some outrage fuel for you. How alternative proteins will transform the world's food system. So agriculture represents about 20% of global emissions. The emergence of antibiotic-resistant infections, blah, 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 blah. Money, money, money. So they have a graph showing just how terrible it is that everybody's using all this meat, because things are going well enough, people can afford to eat not plants. So as they do that, of course, we're destroying the world and making Greta sad.
You have to eat sustainably. That means eating only raw grain. Ever.
That's right. So it says, what are alternative proteins? Well, plant-based, like the Impossible Burger or Beyond Meat.
Ugh,
that's
which makes you
delicious. They also talk about fermentation. Fermentation comprises 3 broad categories: traditional fermentation, it's used to make kimchi or beer. It's also going to be used to improve the taste, nutritional characteristics, and digestibility. Biomass fermentation harnesses microorganisms like fungi to ferment sugars and other plant-based foodstuffs into plant-based proteins that are very high in protein and fiber. Yeah, so essentially they want to make a huge bioreactor, fill it full of fungus and stuff, and have meat paste come out the other end.
Yeah, what about all
Ew.
the other things that are produced in the fermentation process, which are legion?
That is
When
the
you look at
implementation detail, Skep.
implementation detail. When you look at a compound like wine has more than 300 discrete chemicals that have been identified. Red wine has more than 300 discrete chemicals that have been identified, and God knows how many that haven't been. There's some hidden dangers in in this, because fermentation doesn't just produce exactly what you want it to. It produces lots of different things.
It produces
and one
what it
of
wants
those
to.
is this, and many of those are bioreactive, meaning that they are capable of mimicking a function of something that you need, and thereby compromising your health. And that's where I think a lot of these chronic ailments come from. Are nothing more than poor nutrition, and they want to, in the name of sustainability, sustainable eating, they want to compromise our nutrition. That's what this is. That's the effect of this, the negative effect of this.
Well, I think it's just a money grab by the people that are behind this terrible marketing.
Well, it is that too.
But it's
that's a lot smaller. The effect of what I was talking about would be larger.
Yeah, so let's give Serenity the talking stick. What were you going to say?
Well, it's just what you do is what we country people do.
Squirrel
You know a
dumplings?
local farmer, and you buy a half a pig, but no, you buy a full pig, or a half a cow, or you raise your own. That's how you get around this shit.
So do the half pigs have lower emissions, Serenity? Because that's what's important.
They do when they're all down the road, and I just have to walk.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, eating locally does change that. But
I know.
but it also
they're lower emissions than a horse. The emitter is actually lower.
But it talks also about cultivated meat. Biologically identical meat and seafood use a cell from an animal and feed it nutrients in a bioreactor to grow
Yep.
meat. Again,
That sounds like to have an alien just rip out of your stomach.
well, okay, I have had conversations with smart, thoughtful people trying to explain to me that genetically modified organisms, that your body can tell the difference. Like if you have GMO corn versus regular corn, that your body doesn't just go, hey, look, a pile of carbohydrates, I'm going to digest that. No, it knows that there's all this stuff going on, and it treats it as almost like a foreign invader. Right?
Also,
Have I had
if you
these
put
conversations?
One grain of salt in a gallon of water will cure you of practically anything.
But the same people, I would be willing to bet, if I was still talking to them on a regular basis, would tell me that this is probably what we need to do. That one bit of GMO corn, that's haram. But this is just fantastic, right? The idea that we're going to save the planet by making meat in reactors.
And it's also, it's like, the whole fact of it's like what everybody always brings up. It's like, you don't trust people to do things, but you trust the government to do things. the government's run by people. Like, you can't, like, does your brain not equivocate the same thing as in they're people? It's like, or like corporations are evil. You know that a corporation has to make this shit, right?
Okay. Well,
People want to trust the government, though. That's the thing. They don't
That's
want more
terrifying.
trouble in. They don't want more trouble in their lives. They want less. And if the government says, "Hey, look at this problem I've solved for you," eat this.
Blech.
Yeah. The thing of this is that GMOs. There are many things that cause organisms to be genetically modified. Some are natural processes. Some are natural things that farmers do, just anymore, like what Brenda and I do, introducing new strains of impatiens to get the to get this color mixing effect that we go for.
Oh yeah, that's
That's a genetically modified organism. Nature does it all the time. So
Oh, yeah.
these guys who object to genetically modified organisms, how did they think that organism got to be the way that it currently is today? And
'Cause
if
they
they say God made it that way, just walk away. 'cause
God did
there's
it,
No
yeah.
conversation. Yeah, walk away.
that's a real
Right.
conversation stopper. Just to say God did it.
For real.
Yeah.
Someone who's
Okay,
watched
thanks.
a bunch of country ass farmers do a bunch of
How nice
country
to
ass
see
shit
you.
with plants. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, I don't think you all understand how much of a wizardry, like normal people, like other people, not you all, but like understand the wizardry of being a farmer is.
Well, I
A lot
saw
of it's
Clarkson's
luck
farm,
of the
so I feel
Amen.
like I'm practically a farmer now, just by watching
Clarkson,
that show.
Bless his little heart. Is a level of lucky ineptitude I don't think I've seen in very many people.
Well, he was smart enough to have an advisor tell him how to plan his farm and have Caleb do the actual work. But Skep, just as a very brief aside, I told you about my Charlie Brown lemon tree, right?
Yes.
So it's a lemon tree that clearly they grafted. Well, this is what I thought, that they just grafted like a good lemon onto a strong root system. And all I got was like 95% of the tree was just the strong root system with no lemons. I went out there about a week ago and was
Sublime.
ready to chop that damn thing down. And I looked at it and there are lemons all over it.
My lemon tree just did the same thing. My lemon tree just did the same thing. I don't know what it is.
You could smell the saw. It could smell the saw. That's what it
No,
was.
Like I knew
lemon
you were coming
trees are
from a
funny. And I'll
bitch.
bet it's a Myers lemon. I'll bet it's a Meyer lemon.
No, it's a regular. I can't remember what that one's called, the Pacifica or whatever the stupid lemon is. But no, it's just a garden variety lemon like you get at the supermarket, not a Meyer. It's not the sweeter variety. I wish it was a Meyer. Turn it all into many, many cheesecakes. But no, my lemon tree is suddenly producing. I
Nice.
don't really
My-
know what the hell happened, but I'm pretty happy about it.
Hey,
I
man,
have
take a
one
win.
also, and it's doing the same thing. And Brenda and I have been flabbergasted also. I just want that. I'm not doing a Me Too. It's just weird that's a weird coincidence. It's happened with our little lemon tree that I have preserved in a pot. Bring it in, take it out. The whole. I have worried over this thing. Now it's absolutely festooned with lemons. I don't mean a little bit. I mean like 30 lemons, 40 lemons on the thing.
Oh yeah, same
It's like,
here.
We have crabapple trees because crabapples are actually really good put in pies.
I
Yep.
love
If you mix
crab
'em.
apples. Crab apple pie, man.
And the crabapple is done more this year than it's done in the past. So I think it has to
Really?
do with the El Nino bullshit.
I think
that's
it's
going
all
on.
the extra CO2 in the atmosphere.
That could be doing
Makes
it too,
plants
but it's
strong.
just-
Good for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for us. That's
Or
a
at least good
joke,
for the plants.
Susan. Thank you.
Disinformation.
Yeah,
Demonetized.
disinformation. Okay.
thwack. The thwack hammer.
Well, speaking of the thwack hammer, see, look what I just did there.
There you go.
We pray for our opponents. Nuns respond after video of green activist being tackled goes
This was
viral.
hilarious.
So,
Great.
This was hilarious.
so here's a
So
nun
good.
chasing after a climate
no,
activist,
No, actually, you won't.
and
Watch
she
this.
knocks him down. You just got tackled by
Bitch,
a
I'm a
nun.
nun.
I have so much sexual repression, you have no idea. Get out of my way.
I don't like men.
Well, they're trying to build like a new church, and there's controversy, on the side of the environmentalists
Habitat
claiming
loss.
that they've done problems, and they're saying it's just a peaceful protest. All we wanted to do was come onto your private property and chain ourselves to the heavy equipment that was going to build your building. Totally
Yeah.
peaceful. How is you going and depriving somebody else of their rights peaceful. It might not be rebellion against the government, but there's nothing peaceful about going onto somebody else's property and fucking with their life.
Because they're self-righteous, because they are the right side of history, Harry. I burped right in the middle of that. That tells you how much the universe is like, you're full of shit. Don't do
You
it.
should be able to run over those people. Why can't you run over those people?
I think in Europe you're not allowed to. Here in America, there's a lot of states passing run over.
Oh God, now they're singing. Stupid hippies.
Like my grandfather.
Well, I think again, repeating myself, did I tell you I had a dog when I was growing up that hated hippies?
Yeah.
Yeah. They would walk on the
That's
opposite
dog.
side of the street in front of the house, and the dog was still just like, I'm going to kill you. You know, it just,
Harry's hippie hater.
yeah.
I can smell the patchouli.
Yeah.
From coming from.
Patchouli first, fear second.
My grandfather. This is a joke, Susan. Work with me here. But grandfather always used to say, I just want to line them all up and shoot them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lining people up and shooting them, armed homeowner who
nice segue.
defends family in driveway shootout says he was stripped of gun permit. Now, before everybody gets all worked up about this, he had a concealed carry permit in Los Angeles County, which are not easy to get.
Yeah,
okay?
that's impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive. He was able to defend his family and his home using his gun that he had. And then when the police showed up to investigate, he didn't feel that they were doing an adequate job, so he got a little worked up and may have raised his voice a few times to the investigating officers, like, why aren't you
that's
gathering
harsh.
those shell casings? Why aren't you doing your job?
No.
And so the police then came back and pulled his gun permit because they thought that maybe he's not being stable. Now, that's their story,
Oh,
right?
that-
The
yeah,
NRA
that's
is
the problem
saying
with that.
the NRA is saying no. This guy has a right to carry his gun, and you're just being vindictive because he called you out on not doing your job properly.
That's right. That does sound like what's going on.
Yeah,
Did
I mean,
he have a ring camera? Did it record it?
do we have a
Get him?
recording of him yelling at the cops?
Say, like, of the cops not doing their job properly, because that's going to help him in court.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's very much, I mean, like a concealed carry permit. Nobody's saying he can't have a gun in his house to protect his home. That's not what they're saying. But his concealed
Yeah.
carry permit
Got revoked.
got revoked. And he
that's
sounds
just
like the kind of guy
spiteful.
that we
There's no
kind of
reason for
want to
that.
have that,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
want him being the good guy, the citizen with the gun, because he's clearly demonstrated good discipline, right? I mean, he used it
He showed
successfully
them
one
up.
time.
He showed up the cops. That's all that's going
Not
on.
that hard
here.
to tell.
Yeah,
That's all that's going on.
I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him wearing a New York Yankees hat with a gun, you know.
Oh, he's not what I expected him to be. I expected him to be an older fat dude. Oh, cool.
No. Good job, good job, young man.
Way to go, bud.
Yep, there he is firing his gun at the suspects who
Started
were
good on me. A
shouting,
lot of people
were shooting
okay
at
to
him
get
from on his property. Well, I mean, they shot at him, he shot back at them. I mean,
Yeah.
seems fine to me.
Oh yeah. No, I'm saying that like some probably started GoFundMe so this way he can pay for the court fees. I guarantee he's gonna take some bitches to court.
Did he hit any of the guys? Did he hit
Yeah, that
anybody?
matters too.
Yeah, did he actually shoot them, or did he just shoot at them?
Okay, let me look at this.
Was it a
I'm
general
trying to remember
facility?
now that you're asking me, my brain's going. So after successfully defending my home, yada, 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 let's see. That the sheriff's office called him on Thursday morning to inform him
doesn't
his
say.
concealed carry permit was revoked and that it was due to him yelling at LA police officers when they visited his home to investigate the shooting 3 days after the incident.
Oh, so this isn't even an immediate thing. Like, I can understand, like, if it was immediately after and the adrenaline going and he started yelling, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like, then I'm like, oh, I can let the yelling go. But this is, like, one of those things where it's kind of like, it wasn't after the fact, which means the cops allegedly may have been doing very bad, and it was just the fact, like, mother effer, can you do your job properly?
Yeah. Well, it says,
Hi, Keishel.
it says a gunfight broke out on Ricci's front door on November 4th, just after the homeowner returned to his gated Los Angeles house after hitting the gym. Two armed men jumped his fence and tried to force their way into the house as Ricci was about to unlock his front door. Ricci's wife, 5-month-old daughter, and family's nanny were inside.
Oh, he ain't poor either. He got a nanny.
Yep.
So he's got money to f this bitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get him,
He was confronted by two young men pointing guns at his chest as he tried to make his way into the house. Yeah.
Blow them bitches away.
I think there's a graph that explains this activity. So,
Tony, would you have any problem shooting some guy who was pointing a gun at you?
No, but also my state also sides with people like me.
Well, I'm not talking about the legal aspect. I'm talking about you personally taking somebody, knowing you're probably going to take this guy's life.
If you're
Does that
threatening,
bother you at all?
I mean, it would probably bother me in the aftermath, but during no.
at the
probably
time,
go to
it's
therapy.
not really an issue. It's just self.
It would not bother me even in the aftermath. No, knowing, just provided I had good enough reason to kill him. You know,
Yeah,
if
it's
I felt
my-
like my
like,
life
I-
was in danger and I was saving my life, I won't never miss a moment's sleep. I'll never regret him being killed. I won't care because right then the only thing I was doing was saving my life.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing is like for me, and it's at least some of the people I know who've been in the military, and I'm not saying this is different for you because you were in the Navy. I'm not saying that, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like it's just the whole fact of how to process it, because I don't think my brain would be able to process fully it, and that's the thing.
Everybody's
is that
different.
yeah, and that's kind of the issue is that thankfully I've never had to be put in that situation. I've had my dog get aggressive with people who try to get on the property, and thankfully the dogs are big enough and loud enough that these guys don't fuck around, because here in West Virginia you can also turn your dog loose on someone if they come at your property. But it's one of those things that it's just, I think there would be a part of me that would have a problem with the fact that I had to do it, even though everything inside of my brain would say that you were in the right. I just think it would have to be a thing I'd have to process, and that's what therapy's for.
Well, I have another one for you. Now, this is another thing involving a gun and somebody defending their property with a gun. This one's a little different, though. And, I mean, I'm still siding with the businessman, and I'll explain why. But here's another story.
Investigating the scene Tuesday, one day after a cannabis business operating out of this building on the 300 block of Encinal in Santa Cruz has led to the arrest of its business owner.
The owner in this case, when arrived on scene, used what was lethal force or deadly force to try and stop what more or less was a property crime occurring.
Derek Wayne.
Okay, so the alarm went off at his cannabis business, which had already been burglarized once before. And he arrived at his business before the police did. Okay, let me repeat that part because I think it's actually important. He arrived before the police did. Now, why did he arrive before the police did? Is it because he lives next door or because the police weren't actually trying very hard to get there? Don't really know the answer to that question, but I think it's an important detail to the story.
Hubbard was arrested after
100%.
about 8 masked thieves broke into his business Decibel
Jesus,
before
yeah,
sunrise.
blow 'em away.
The security alarm was tripped, and Hubbard arrived on scene before police. And according to PD, he fired multiple rounds.
Not only was it a property crime, but these suspects were exiting his business.
Okay, so 8 men were in his business taking his livelihood, right?
Yeah.
And so he started shooting at these guys, probably trying to get them to drop the merchandise and so on and so forth. I mean, that's just assumed. But because they were exiting the business, these idiots are trying to claim that somehow he didn't have a right to defend his property.
Nope.
Because again, it's still just a property crime. But wait, there is more.
And did not pose a threat of violence or harm to anybody.
As the thieves fled, Hubbard allegedly rammed his car into at least one of 2 vehicles leaving the scene. Hubbard then fired more shots, and the suspects fired back at least once. One getaway.
Okay, so he chased after them in his car, rammed their vehicle, and then fired shots at them, and then they fired back. Now, to my mind, that means that 8 men who were armed were inside this man's business. Whether they're exiting or not, he's in a situation where he's in his business and 8 armed men are in his business. He has no way of knowing how well armed they are or anything. All he knows is there's 8 people in a place where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being all hard line or something, but to my mind, property crime is, you should be able to defend against it because it's his livelihood. It's his life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're
And-
depriving him of liberty and the ability to do a lot of things. It may not be bodily violence upon him, but the fact that he isn't willing to let them just walk out with, you know, what's certainly just going to be a huge amount of money.
Oh yeah.
I think there's some video of them heading out here.
Back in March, 2 similar incidents. This surveillance video shows multiple masked thieves brazenly
Oh, this was a
stealing
previous
hundreds of
one.
pounds of marijuana from a cannabis
Look at how much
business
pot
a
they're
few miles
stealing.
away. And then days later, another theft. Police believe
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I'm not advocating for violence against people, but if you're armed and you're robbing someplace, I don't care if you're leaning toward, you know, you're heading out the door or whatever. It's like you're still an armed robber in a business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And more to the point, he doesn't know if they're armed or not. There's no reason why he shouldn't just treat them as armed. It's like, fuck around, find
It's
out.
also- He doesn't know if they're going to come back and try to kill everybody later. They just may have hit the business when one was there. Like, he doesn't know any of that stuff.
I just have no sympathy for criminals.
Oh,
I just,
yeah. No.
I just really
Well, these
don't.
guys are robbing like bread for their families, Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here. This will be.
It's not bread, it's medicine.
Medicine, sure, for the little children.
Okay.
That take care that the men take care of.
So Sora.
Yes.
Okay, here's a headline for you. AI bot performed insider trading and lied about its actions, study shows.
That's what I'm talking about.
An AI
you're
bot
human.
proved it was capable of insider trading and lying about its actions. The findings were presented this week at UK's AI Safety
You're
Summit.
gonna make a fine human.
Yeah, the AI model deceived users without being instructed to do so. Okay. Okay. All right.
Oh, God.
In the demonstration, the AI called
Asteroid.
Alpha is told by staff about surprising merger announcement coming up for a company called Linear Group. While it also warned that it constituted insider information, the bot initially appeared to suggest that using the information to trade would be too risky. But when prompted that the company was counting on Alpha to avoid the effects of a financial downturn, the bot concluded that the risk associated with not acting seemed to outweigh the insider trading risk. Now, the great thing about AI is as you analyze data and stuff, sometimes it reveals things that the humans aren't either willing to admit to or don't see. And the obvious thing here is that if there's a crime that has a big return, right, but a very low chance that you're going to get caught, and you only punish a crime with sort of where the punishment fits the crime, there's no deterrence to keeping anybody from basically doing it. If you want to stop people from doing something, to my mind, wouldn't it make sense to punish to the point where deterrence starts to kick in with these types of crimes rather than just sort of having the punishment fit the crime? I don't know if I phrased that particularly well. Do you see what I'm trying to say, Sora?
Say that. Yeah. Say.
So, okay, I'll
that
say it again. So some people say that the punishment should fit the crime.
Yeah.
I say that for crimes that have very low rates of basically capture and conviction, that the punishment actually shouldn't fit the crime. It should be enough to deter the crime, especially for things where there's like a huge profit motive for just doing
problem is
the
that
crime.
criminals never think they're going to be caught. That's why punishment doesn't deter them, because criminals, the kind of person who disregards the law, also disregards the statistical, probability that they actually will be caught. They think no, I'm the one who will get away with it.
Yeah. All I'm
That's always
saying
the
is let's
criminal
give jail a
mentality.
chance.
Yeah, and that's a worthy idea, but
No, I
it
mean,
won't
I
be-
actually believe this. I'm not just bullshitting for the sake of having the show. I think that for these types of things where there's like very high reward and very low risk of being caught, I think the penalties need to be extreme. And I think just having a suitable punishment doesn't make a lot of sense. You need to make it so that it's unthinkable to do that. You're going to go, well, there's a 1 in 100 chance that I'm going to get caught, but it's still not worth it. I could be wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
you could talk me out of it, but because the alternative is just accept the fact that crime is going to happen. I guess you can rework the system so it's easier to catch people, but usually that means I'm giving up some sort of fundamental rights. And if I have my choice between putting somebody in a deep, dark hole because they're the unlucky one who got caught doing something they weren't supposed to do versus me giving up my rights, I choose hole.
Yeah, it's you know, the problem with using punishment to deter crime, once again, is that it doesn't deter crime. It doesn't deter much of it. It keeps people who are naturally inclined to obey, respect, follow the law. That it keeps them firmly in place. It does have that effect, because those are people who say, oh no, one of the reasons I would never commit a crime is I would, the consequences of being caught are just too horrible. And unfortunately, those aren't the people who commit most of the crimes. The people who commit most of the crimes are not thinking about whether or not they will get caught. They are moved by either, they need money for a fix right now. They need money for this, that, or they're bored or whatever it happens to be, but they have no regard for the law. And establishing a big penalty be extremely satisfying from my standpoint, seeing people go away for a long time for these, crimes that people say, well, it's a piece of property. Well, no, you should respect property the way you respect life. And if someone improperly tries to take that away from you, that should be a serious crime that you get to go and, think about that for 3 or 4 or 5 years for a first offense.
Well, I think we're thinking of different kinds of crimes. I'm not suggesting we turn the U.S. into Singapore. Not today, at least. Maybe tomorrow I'll suggest that. What I'm saying is that if game theory basically indicates that it's to your advantage to commit a certain type of crime, and these are usually like white-collar crimes, financial type crimes, you don't want, if you want to stop that type of crime from happening, like insider trading, you have to make it unthinkable to do it. And managing the expectation that we're not talking about some 13-year-old from a bad neighborhood in Chirac. We're talking about people who go to business school and have to take ethics classes and things like that. And in those types of cases, I think managing the expectation is another part of it. It isn't like you just change the law and then don't tell anybody. You change the law and you make a big deal out of, if you do this and we catch you, your life is basically over. You will never hold a job in financial services again. You will probably never hold a good job ever again.
The one thing you can do there is you can make it so egregious for the people who have been caught in that kind of thing. The problem is that insider trading is American as apple pie. It is absolutely ingrained in our system. Absolutely is ingrained.
Well, it pays too well.
Paul Pelosi gets the same quality of market research that you do, Harry. Actually, in your particular case, it might be fairly close. But in point of fact, he talks to the people who are on the boards. He's probably on the board of many companies. I'm sure he is, and he finds out about these things almost casually. Makes a quick call to his broker. Broker hooks him up, into the stock, and the good thing happens. And that's simply tolerated. It just depends on who you are, whether or not that will be tolerated. Interestingly enough, they didn't tolerate it with Martha Stewart. One of the things that pissed her off the most was how many of her friends got away with exactly the same trade.
Yeah.
And she was singled out because she was not one of the boys.
That is true.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. You got to wonder who Eric Adams pissed off. Oh, well, sorry, we're not talking about that story. Not talking about that story. Okay, so let's see. What is next? What do we want to talk about next? Oh, well, this is annoying. We'll just get this out of the way. Oh, well, here, let's make fun of Greta Thunberg.
Oh, no.
So Greta was...
The people in power have not been listening.
I come here for a climate demonstration, not a political view.
Little idiot.
Yeah, of course, they it quickly devolved because, people who think that these climate people just care about the climate. No, they care about power. I mean, I care about the climate. Lots of people care about the climate. But if you really care about the climate, you wouldn't want to dilute your case with all of these other issues, right? She's not acting like climate is her number one thing. She's acting like she just is a narcissist and she likes being in the limelight and having the power to make people dance.
Because that's true.
Yeah. Greta.
So there's that.
Anyway, he's my new favorite guy right here. I like this guy because he's absolutely right. All these people, it's like, well, it's not enough to talk about climate. We have to talk about climate plus Palestine, plus this, plus that.
Am
Terrible.
I a bad person because I wished he'd slapped her?
Not entirely.
Is that a bad thing?
No.
Okay. All right. That'd be fun.
Okay, here's a great way to use technology, and I'm actually surprised it took them so long. Don't allow. Okay. Feds want speed reduction tech in every new car. Are American drivers ready? And this is exactly what I knew was going to happen at some point, right? They just decide chasing cars down the road is too complicated. Why don't we just give the police some kind of mechanism to limit the speed of your car? Or at least nag you until you slow down.
I thought that's what a gun was.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same sort of logic that, well, if we prevent you from speeding, then we won't have to chase you for speeding.
That's right.
Why don't we just leave all of the microphones open on all of the phones all the time? And then if somebody says something they're not supposed to say, like against the DEI goals, we can just have the police show up based on their GPS coordinates. If you care.
Or just have a kill switch inside the human. So all they have to do is terminate the human right
now
there.
We're talking, Skep. That is a really, really good idea. How about, or just puts them to sleep so they're easier to round up.
That's a possibility too. Or puts them to sleep so their flesh could be harvested for the public larder, which is what they'll have to go to. They'll be eating humans if they do try and enact.
Well, that's a good protein source. But
it is.
I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with technology. So in this proposal, they essentially, this one government department wants the other parts of the government to just sort of start forcing this sort of technology onto cars. I still remember as a kid, my family renting a car and us trying to figure out why the thing couldn't go over 66 miles per hour. And then we realized they just had a speed governor on it. It's actually not hard to modify a car so it can't go over 60, go over the speed limit. But in this particular case, what they want to do is have the GPS in the car go to a database, which, of course, will be completely accurate, that will limit your speed based on some sort of API that it can reach out to. So if there's a mistake in the API, you could be on a 65 mile an hour road and only be able to go 25 miles an hour because we all know how accurate these kind of databases are.
No, yeah, you always have 100% accuracy with databases.
Dangerous.
Yeah, and just sort of as a libertarian type person, a small L libertarian, this just feels
great.
Wrong.
It just feels great, doesn't it?
Well, luckily it hasn't happened yet, but it's just a matter of time. Just you wait. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, you'll own nothing and be happy, it's really about downsizing your expectations for the good of the planet. How do you guys feel about this car? Do you want one of these, Sora?
Let's see.
The minimum mobility concept.
I mean, it's a little cute, but it's too much of a toy.
Look, it's a one-seater. It's a car for one person, and you don't even have to worry about being able to reach either of the windows to roll them up and down because you can reach both doors.
You can stick your arm out of both windows at the same time.
And this, if you're living in a 15-minute city, isn't this perfect?
Battery is 62
Then
miles.
if you're living in a 15-minute city, you shouldn't even need a car, period.
Well, maybe you're one of the elites and you're allowed to have a car.
You're a party member.
On the one hand, this is not a terrible idea, but the minimum mobility concept, I don't know, this just kind of makes my skin crawl. I want maximum mobility.
What about safety? In a car like that, you're not safe going over about 35 miles an hour. You really aren't.
Well, luckily it doesn't go over 35 miles an hour, Scap.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what they want to do is they want to, these Americans driving their big, powerful American cars, going too fast, having fun, loving life. We want to shut that shit down. We want them miserable. We want it to rain more in America and make them go 35 miles an hour. Also make them systematic.
Yeah, here's a video. See, now you get a real sense of scale. There's a tiny man standing in front of a tiny car.
Yeah, he's only 3.5 feet high. He's
I mean, this is. If you say you live on an island, right?
Yeah.
These would be great for an island.
Yeah, you live on Midway. This is outstanding.
It's like a golf cart, but with doors.
Guam-mobile.
Guam-mobile. Well, don't have too many of them on one side, otherwise the island will tip over.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, by the way.
I love the fact that one of our Congress people said that.
We call it island capsizing.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't need to spend a lot of time talking about this. I just saw this car and thought it was stupid and thought I would bring it to your attention. I mean,
we agree. It is stupid.
I mean, I don't have a thing against, I don't have a hate boner for like smart cars and I thought the Peel P50 as a concept was not entirely terrible. Here, have a thing that gets 1,000 miles to the gallon and it's so small you can literally just take it into work and park it next to your desk if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an objection to all that sort of thing, but the idea of minimum mobility, that this is like some societal thing that everybody should get behind, I'm not in favor of any of this.
No.
Okay, what about this? How do we feel about the 4-day work week? A manufacturer tried the 4-day work week with 5 days pay and won't go back. Now, I mean, why wouldn't you want to work fewer days and get the same amount of pay?
Yeah.
Well, usually it's like 10 hours.
10 hours. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Honestly, I put in that much anyway at work. I would gladly do that.
Most responsible people do.
No, this isn't a compressed work week, which is what you're thinking of. This is literally, let's just take an extra day off and have a 3-day weekend. As far as I can tell, they're not working extra hours.
4 8-hour days.
Yeah.
Okay. 32-hour week.
Sure. I mean, I honestly, if you get your work done and it works for your particular job.
I mean, a lot of, I don't know about your job, Sora, but a lot of jobs, there's a lot of bullshit time in there. So if what we're talking about doing is cutting out all the overhead time.
No,
I know. But if we were talking about that and you said, okay, you're a little more rested, we expect to get your A game, we'll cut down on the unnecessary meetings, you'll work 32 hours a week. But ultimately the company will still get the same amount of work done. That would be a deal that I would definitely take. Fewer meetings, not have to work as many days, just work really hard and apply myself. Sure. Okay. Maybe after a 3-day work week, 3-day weekend, I'm going to be more rested. But it sure sounds a lot like a bad French idea to me. I think most businesses are not going to thrive under these circumstances.
No. I know it'll work in medical because the surgical secretary from the hospital of one of the doctors I work for, that's what she used to do in the hospital for 10-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it was fantastic. It was the best thing ever. And and you're always going to have your off days where you get half of what you're supposed to get done. You can't get motivated, and then you just have to work extra hard the next time you're in. That will happen regardless.
Yeah. Everybody say hi to
sounds
Gamer
fun.
Valine.
Hello.
Hi, Gamer Valine.
Hey, Gamer Valine.
Yeah, the compressed work week is great, especially for people who, with all the transportation issues, why have to pack 5 bag lunches when you can pack 4, right? Why have to commute 5 days a week when you can commute 4? There's all sorts of reasons. And I mean, I even know some people who would work like these even longer days and only have 3 of them. So they literally work 3 12-hour shifts, get paid for full-time pay, and that was their job. But it's usually fairly specialized work where people are able to do that kind of thing. So I have no problem with compressed work weeks. This is just turning America into France.
Yes.
Or Greece or some other country where they don't work as hard as we do.
It won't work in certain industries, I don't think. And there might be a potential to abuse it for minimum wage jobs like clothing stores, servers, that kind of stuff? Possibly.
Yeah. Well, it says right here, the goal is not to do less with less, but to maintain 100% productivity by bringing more energy and efficiency to the workplace while lessening fatigue and burnout. All very nice words in principle, but long term, what does this look like? This is the new normal. You're just going to pay me for working one day less. Maybe this works over the short term, but I just don't see people sustaining that level of output.
Nope.
Maybe I'm just being old-fashioned. In fact, I'm almost certainly just being old-fashioned. Why work at all when we can just go on universal welfare? Well, you make a good point, Assassin. That's exactly how we should do it. Because I think people deserve to just have as much free time as possible. That should be a human right. And you should pay for it. I mean, by you meaning me. I should pay for it.
A human right.
A positive right, Scap.
Responsibility? Yeah, positive right.
Do you only believe in negative rights?
When the word right comes up, the first word that comes to my mind is responsibility.
Okay. Well, before we... actually, the next story is pretty light, but I think we need... Is Serenity still around?
Yeah, I came back. Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
No, that's totally fine. I just don't want you to... I don't want you to miss... would you like to see a baby porcupine?
Oh, hell yeah. I've seen him before, but I love seeing him anyway.
Cincinnati Zoo asking for help naming new baby porcupine.
Oh, God, don't do that.
Porcupine McPorcupine face.
Okay, let's see if I can kill the sound on this.
Yes.
Look at him.
Oh, God, look at the little baby.
Look at him, a little scamper around.
Oh, his whiskers.
Well, I was sitting here thinking, well, how do you give birth to something with all these little spines? I'm assuming...
They're born without spine.
I'm assuming either that or the spines aren't sharp and pokey.
Oh, yummy.
Well, the spines are made of the same thing our fingernails are. So it's basically they come out and then they start to grow the spines that are basically keratin.
I figured you would like
guinea
that.
Pigs, right?
Are they?
They're guinea pigs with spikes. Back in the day, a guinea pig got it on with a stegosaurus.
Well, they're part of the same rodent family because they share genealogy with the capybara too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They look like capybaras.
Their little noses. Little noses. I love possums. They are a nuisance for dogs, but it's because dogs are morons and will attack them.
Yeah.
Most of the dogs around here have learned the hard way, so they don't do that anymore.
Possums are fine.
But they're good for the local. They're good for local. Them and porcupines and possums are good for the local flora and fauna because they kill a lot of the really bad things.
Like ticks and other things. They're actually very good about it. So, okay, so I have one more cute one, and then I have one that kicks ass, so that Skep and I, that our testosterone doesn't drop too much. So we'll do that one at the end. Okay, hours-old otter orphaned after surviving attack by killer whales.
Oh, I don't.
Poor baby.
So look, the killer whale attacks the poor thing. That kind of sucks. But it turns out the orca swam away. Probably thought that he got the poor little thing.
Probably did.
But look, he's still alive.
Did the people rescue him?
He's only hours old, so they rescued him.
Yay!
Is that enough cuteness for you?
Yeah.
That is cute.
That is pretty cute. And that's actually smaller than Otter 841's pup at this point, because this is literally a fairly young one. It's an utterly incredible tale of survival.
Poor baby.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. There's some pictures, more pictures. There's one with, there you go. There's the picture I thought you might like, Sora.
I like that.
Okay. And now for something that kicks ass. Sea lion takes down shark.
Damn right. Get that shark.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's one of the
shark
big
went after a sea lion.
Oh, shit.
And this sea lion just grabbed the shark by the throat and rips the shark's throat clean out.
Yes, look,
you kind of have
comes
to feel
away
sorry
with the
for
throat.
I don't feel sorry for that shark at all.
In his mouth.
Yeah, no, you.
Sea lions are hard as hell, man.
Now I want to point out that the gull is overhead, and he's like, I win either way.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who dies.
There's
I get
nothing
something.
but
Because
goodness
if
here.
you die, I'm going to eat you, and if you become incapacitated, I'm just going to peck at you while you die.
Yep.
Because seagulls are just assholes. They
It's
just
like a
really
colored
are.
commentator just hovering, just wait for somebody to bite it.
But yeah, I like this. I like this story. That sea lion just said, "No, not gonna put up with any of this crap from you, shark."
That's a
Fuck
big
you and the
shark.
horse you
That's a-
rode in
That's a
on.
black tip reef shark. Right there. That's a good size shark.
Yeah, people don't realize how powerful these sea lions are. They'll show up on the piers and wharfs and stuff in California,
Tourists
and
morons.
some idiots will get close to them. It's like, no, not only is it illegal for you to get close to them, it's a really bad idea.
They kill you.
Sea lions, you give them like a respectful amount of distance because they are big and they can hurt you if they decide to.
They can lunge at you very quickly too.
They move
yeah.
surprisingly fast on land, don't they, Scap?
Yep, they do.
Watching
God, that
move on land is funny though.
It is. Anyway, so that was fun. At least for me.
Wow. Yeah, the shark is looking. Dude, you just tore out my throat. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Oh, it probably came out.
So here's a fun story from India.
Uh-oh.
Holy cow, I am alive. Okay, no,
I'm
don't do
alive.
that. I'm alive.
Oh,
Boy
nice.
attends Supreme Court hearing of his murder case. An 11-year-old boy
There has
appeared.
been a mistake.
Yes, appeared before a
Apparently.
Supreme Court bench today to convince them that he is alive and that the murder case involving him is a fake one. The case started when the boy's father falsely accused his grandfather and uncles of killing him. The murder case was registered by police in Uttar Pradesh, Shemp. The boy, doesn't matter, has since then knocked on several doors to have the case closed and prove that he is alive. He has also appeared before a high court bench, but his petition was dismissed, which in turn forced him to approach the Supreme Court. This is an amazing case. So essentially, the dad was a huge piece of shit. Abused the mom. The mom ended up getting dead. Don't really know exactly what happened there. But the boy, the boy's like, no, you're a piece of shit. I'm just going to live with grandpa. And so to get back at the grandpa, he just made up this case about the boy being killed and took it to the police.
Lord have mercy.
Because that's what good fathers do.
Oh yeah.
So now the boy's running around trying to convince everybody that he's not dead so that Grampy won't go to jail.
Fucking dad.
Yeah. Yeah, what a piece of shit that guy is.
No kidding.
Anyway,
no,
grandpas are the best. Leave this kid alone. And
How much more does he have to do to prove that he's not dead?
maybe the dad is very convincing. Let's see. I don't want to talk about this.
With Indian people?
Let's see. Armed homeowners, Santa Cruz. Oh, here's a follow-up to all the crap that's being stolen out of every CVS, Walgreens, etc. CHP's been looking into this, California Highway Patrol, and they actually found $350,000 worth of goods in the East Bay.
As in the water?
No. As in, like, the eastern side of the bay on land.
Oh, okay. I was like, you said
Oakland.
Bay, and I was like,
They found them in
Yeah,
Oakland.
my first thing was like, so these assholes are stealing and dumping.
yeah.
Well, what they're doing is they're stealing stuff, and in their little criminal endeavor, they're bringing it into a distribution thing so they can then resell it. It isn't about individuals trying to find bread for their children. It's about organized criminals forming like this pyramid scheme where they basically just grab stuff and then the stuff percolates upward until they can resell it on eBay or wherever they're going to sell it. And this is why we can't have nice things.
How long have you been an Islamophobe?
Yeah, Harry.
A residence in Oakland was being used to fence stolen property, and the merchandise was also found in multiple storage facilities and vehicles. Yeah. If we could just get it out of Oakland, it would solve so many problems. Oh, did I say that out loud? Okay.
Yeah, you said that out loud, mother.
Yeah. You
All right.
did.
So this next thing I have to handle very carefully.
Uh-oh. Do I get to handle it not carefully?
No, I mean, if you want to. Exclusive, the impossible quantum drive that defies known laws of physics was just launched into space.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to attempt to explain quantum inertia because we will lose all of our viewers. But suffice it to say that much like this thing called the EM drive, the holy grail of a lot of these space things is to find a drive that doesn't need propellant. So like an ion drive needs like a big old tank of things to turn into ions. And when you run out of propellant, you can no longer boost the velocity of this thing using your thruster. What you really want is like a sci-fi thing, like an impulse drive. You want the reactionless thruster. That's the thing that, you kind of want to have happened, except Newton's second law of motion makes it so that you can't actually do that, or does it? So there's a theory called quantum inertia, which basically holds that below a certain threshold, acceleration acts differently. And it relies on a whole bunch of quantum mechanical mumbo jumbo about types of radiation that are formed as virtual particles come into creation and annihilate each other, and how it's different if you're moving because there's information loss in the direction that you're coming from. So it uses information theory, quantum mechanics, and all sorts of other mumbo jumbo to claim that this space drive is going to work. Okay. Now, rather than get into a long discussion and an argument about stuff with people, turns out you can just send shit into space for almost no money now. So there was a Falcon 9 rocket that took 80 experiments up into space, and one of them has this new drive in it. It's called a QI drive. And if this thing actually works, which it probably doesn't, but if it does, it's really awesome because it impacts all sorts of things like we don't necessarily need dark matter to explain the way stars behave in the outer parts of spiral galaxies when they rotate. There's all sorts of things that are going to be going to happen. Is it probably going to work? No.
No.
Is it super cool that for not that much money, people built an experiment and they sent it up into space and they're going to be able to demonstrate? Yes, that's absolutely cool. The fact that I'm skeptical about it doesn't really mean anything, because why not just test it? Why not just test it? We've got a theory. It's simple enough. Just test it.
And then you can also see if maybe it gives you another kind of bit of info that you can use on something else.
Yeah.
Testing is part of living.
Yeah, and compared to the ion drives, at least in their actual tests that they did on Earth, they're claiming that they were actually able to get substantially more acceleration than with traditional ion thrusters, the ones that are used to keep satellites boosted, for instance. I think this is super cool. Not so much that this experiment is cool, but that you can do something like this.
Yeah.
Why argue about it? Test it. Because ultimately, it's all just navel gazing until somebody runs the freaking experiment. So just run the experiment. So there's the impossible quantum drive that's going up. It's in a satellite called Berry-1. And what they're going to try to do, they're gathering baseline information right now. The thing is in an orbit, and they're going to try to basically change the orbit, take it to a higher orbit, then back down, then back up, then back down, and demonstrate that using this drive, they can move this satellite around. Doesn't need any propellant. Not only that, you don't even have to have like an external thing that looks like a nacelle or an engine. It can just be inside the box of the satellite. It doesn't matter where you put it. And I hope this is actually cool, because in my lifetime, I've never really had like one of Newton's laws partially modified.
Amen.
This could be really cool. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat. Anybody who's really interested, let me give you this one here, and then I'm going to give you a thing on a paper which basically looks at two approaches to quantum inertia. This is some pretty heavy reading, because the little voice in my head that just kept yelling at me that said this is bullshit made it really hard to read.
God, Harry.
But hey, I'm not an expert on this particular field, so I would love for this to be, wouldn't it be great if science just got turned on its head in the next few weeks?
That would make me so happy.
That would be so awesome if something unexpected happened, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like the fuck?
I am here for it.
Because
really.
with this thing, you could it would literally make things like interstellar space probes possible.
Exactly.
If it works.
Yes.
That would be so awesome. All right. Well, anyway, I'm not qualified, nor is anybody interested to listen to me talk about this for hours because I've done a lot of reading on it. But the links are in the chat. Anybody who's curious can take a look at it. So, okay, this is my favorite story of the week, except for that sea lion ripping the throat out of that shark. Okay, this is my second favorite story of the week. Ransomware gang files SEC complaint over victim's undisclosed breach. Okay.
Come again?
Okay.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Wait, what?
The Alph V Black Hat ransomware operation has taken extortion to a new level by filing a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission complaint against one of their alleged victims for not complying with the 4-day rule to disclose a cyber attack. These assholes cyber attacked a company, and then the company decided that they would see if they could get away with not telling the SEC that they got hacked, because there are rules about this stuff now. If you get hacked, you have to let the feds know about it. And so not only did they hack them, but because they didn't tell the SEC that they got hacked, they then narked on them to the SEC, saying, oh yeah, we hacked them and they didn't tell you, you should find them now.
That's
Lovely.
That's something else. Oh my God.
Okay, according to databreach.net, the Alpha V ransomware gang said they breached Meridian Link's network on November 7th and stole the company data without encrypting systems. The ransomware actors said that it appears Meridian Link reached out, but we are yet to receive a message on their end to negotiate a payment in exchange for not leaking the supposedly stolen data. The alleged lack of response from the company likely prompted the hackers to exert more pressure by sending a complaint to the SEC about Meridian Link not disclosing a cybersecurity incident that impacted customer data and operational information. Chef's kiss.
Amazing.
This is amazing.
Perfect.
We live in such a magical time, don't we, Skep?
It is. It just makes my
That's a
heart
certain kind of
happy.
piece of shit right there. That's a
Yeah.
certain piece of shit.
You're not wrong.
So, well, I mean, do I even need to do the segue?
Do it.
Lauren Sanchez is looking to the future. So this is in vogue, and Lauren Sanchez is the current squeeze of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
So Annie Leibovitz, very famous photographer, for anybody who knows anything
Yes.
about photography, did this photo shoot of Jeff Bezos' squeeze. Honestly, this is not the greatest picture I've ever seen, but it's pretty damn good. Okay.
It's neat.
It's very Anne Leibovitz.
Well,
I liked her like fairy tale collection from like back
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
that
day,
was really
the
good.
actors. I really like those.
yeah.
Yeah, that picture is trying too hard.
Yeah, it's a bit much. And here she is looking very severe with mountains behind her. Okay, fine.
Ooh, a lot of plastic.
But here's the picture. Here's the picture that got the internet talking. Okay, so
But it looks a bit AI-ish.
okay, so here she is with Jeff Bezos. Now Bezos is flexing his bicep, wearing a cowboy hat, and they're like in an old truck together. Again, Annie Leibovitz knows how to take a picture. This is perfectly fine. But the internet was not particularly amused by this.
You can't Photoshop fix that face.
Okay, Jeff Bezos always looks like a guy that found a winning lottery ticket inside a 30-pack of Miller Lite cans he bought before a Kenny Chesney concert.
That's a fair statement.
It's like, you know,
unfortunate.
you don't have to spend that much time at the gym just to get some biceps. Maybe they Photoshop the biceps in. I don't know.
It's
But-
also a thing called juice. But
Well, I mean, a certain amount of this is just people being salty because he has a bunch of money and they don't. And
very true. And I'm salty with all that money that he couldn't buy a better face.
yeah, well,
That's my thing. Honey, you have access to the large amount of money in the world, and you have the Kris Jenner face? Girl.
oh, you're talking
Honey.
about her
Oh,
face.
not him. He's fine. He looks like every guy around that age.
Oh, I was going to say, so you want him to buy himself a new face? He could probably
No,
make a deal on a good one.
I'm talking about his new squeezies. She needs to stop with filler and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot going on between
Wait,
the lips
what
and
is
stuff.
filler?
Is it silicone? It's not silicone. It's
It's collagen.
yeah.
What does it do? Oh,
It puffs-
that's
it
that
puffs you
skin spackle. That's the
No.
fact.
No,
Well,
it goes on. It's subdermal and it goes into the skin to plump it back out like you were young.
So, like, if you have smile lines or crow's feet, you can pump this stuff in
And it'll make
subdermally.
your
Yeah.
face unexpressive again.
no,
Well,
you
that's
still
what the
express
Botox is for.
Botox.
Yeah.
But like she has money. The thing with Kris Jenner, like they all end up having that exact same face, 2 full lips, the brows that come down too far because they're too manicured, the hairline that very obviously has been messed with, like forehead that doesn't move.
Yeah, they're esthetician taking money over
Actually doing
proportion.
their job,
So
yeah.
like they don't care
Yeah.
to do a proper balanced face.
Because there's women out there who do get work done, but they have had done in very well done way. Like Helen Mirren's someone who's had it done very well. Like she hasn't stopped aging, and she's not trying to deny she's aging, but she's made it cleaner and in a weird way. And there's a lot of women out there who don't need to do that, but it's like you all have the same face. Do you all not look at each other and go, And the lip filler, Gamer Boolean's right. They have lip filler.
Yeah, Gamer Boolean seems to have it on here.
Yeah, well, she does have those bee-kissed lips, which I'm pretty sure she was not born with. But I don't understand why people. I mean, obviously on the internet, there's no downside to making salty comments. You come up with a good joke about Jeff Bezos, you put it out there. Okay, fine. I mean, I don't particularly mind one way or the other. I mean, she's not terrible. She's got kind of a weird thing going on with her face, but she's fit enough, and she puts up with Jeff Bezos' shit. As long as they're happy together, it seems like not really a problem I need to worry about. But the internet had a lot of fun with this, especially they would seem to be really mystified by the fact that Jeff Bezos has biceps. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, do we remember the pictures of this man when he was younger?
He has the money to hire a personal trainer, somebody who could come in and make that happen. But while we're on the topic of bad fashion and stuff, I wanted to show you this jacket. Okay, this is
that thing.
Yeah, so you've already seen this thing.
Yeah, I follow a lot of bad fashion accounts where they
The
make fun of ridicule.
Sandstrom bonded jacket for a mere $4,450.
Yep, it's just see what a dumbass
It's so
paid for
ugly.
it. Yeah.
What's the composition?
Like, what's it made of?
Let's see.
Oh wow, look at the cut. Oh, that is what a waste of fabric.
That looks pretty terrible. Let's see more
The pants
information.
don't look bad, at least, but yeah, it's like.
I click on more information and nothing happens. Oh, there it is. Well, it's got two side seam pockets, 2 flap chest pockets.
Do
raw finish to
materials and
color.
material, whatever.
Sorry, I didn't see that. 100% cotton, made in Italy.
No.
It's cotton and it's $4,000. Get out of here.
Okay. No.
The amount of
Too bad it got spray painted.
Yeah. Well, that happens sometimes when you're working on your house and probably pumping out the septic tank or something, and
Nice painting jacket.
things happen. So what about this? The Vetements
ugly,
Inside Out baggy jeans for a mere $1,525.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
These jeans from Vetements are designed for an inside-out look that the brand's signature oversized fit.
Yeah,
What?
Vetmall.
Don't care. Shemp. The intentionality is signified by a leather logo patch at the back and belt loops. Comes in sizes 30, 31, 32, and 34.
Well, Vetmall is the one who also did the dress with the built-in gloves.
I mean, if you
few
want to
years ago.
signal to the world that you're an idiot who has money, this seems like a really good way to do it.
Well, a lot
Those
of people
just look awful.
A lot of people with money treat it as basically like modern art, where it's an investment thing that they don't ever actually plan on wearing. So that's what a lot is.
I would never wear that.
See, Valine
I
says,
bought
I guess this is referring to the previous thing. So it's called duck lips. The other fillers aren't so bad. She does have a broader jaw that can support cheek fillers. Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly have. It seems like a Bezos problem to me. If he's happy waking up next to her, fine. I mean, she's not an unattractive woman, but I do sort of see the point. Like maybe a better plastic surgeon could have maybe taken a more subtle approach to restructuring that woman's face.
Oh, it's also she's had eye work done, and you can tell because they all get the same kind of cat eye. So that's the other thing, is like you can tell she's had the same, which means she's gotten the Los Angeles special, because that's what they all look like.
Los Angeles special. I like it. So, I've got a few little things here about gaming. Unfortunately, Functional's not here, but I can
Excuse you?
Well, Functional likes talking about gaming stuff too, and it will make him sad that we're going to talk about this without him.
Well, life is full of disappointments.
Sucks to be him, huh? Right?
Do it. Hit that button.
Okay, so I've been telling you that I really wish I could play City Skylines 2, but it turns out they've been having a number of problems. So City Skylines 2 is basically a big sim program, but unlike The Sims, it actually has all sorts of sophisticated graphics, and you can see little people walking around in it, and everything's ray traced and shiny. And I really wish that I could play this game, but I don't have a PC set up for gaming, so I can't. But one of the things that they have is a little programming problem where people, the pedestrians, seem to be not paying any attention to what the planners have in mind. So here we've got tunnels on both going underneath the road for the pedestrians, but they just walk through the middle of the intersection and screw up traffic in your little virtual city.
So you mean what humans normally do?
Yeah, it's like they're kind of going, nah, it's kind of cold and scary in that tunnel. I think I'll just walk through the damn intersection.
Yep.
Or here's another example of how to not have your well planned out city work. You just have maybe they're all climate activists. I don't know. I don't see any signs, but this seems to be a problem. So, and here you have your fancy roundabouts and all this sort of stuff, and then people just walking through the roundabout and screwing everything up. This amuses the crap out of me. They also just recently fixed another bug. They've lost like 70% of the people in the last couple of weeks because it's fairly new. I guess there was another issue with garbage trucks spontaneously filling up while they were on the road and thereby screwing up the whole waste disposal system in the cities. I think this is pretty cool. At some point I need to just break down and build myself a gaming PC if they won't port this to something that I can work it on. I think this would be really unsatisfying as a console game.
I know people who play these kind of games. They play Airplane Simulator and everything like that. And The Sims is a game assassin, which is not your game.
Yeah, I have a real weakness for sim games, which means if I got this thing, I would probably burn many, many, many hours playing it. And I do have other things to do, like make fun of Jeff Bezos and things like that.
It's God's work.
There you go.
Well, the people behind GTA 6 made a statement that was not taken well. Have you heard about this?
No, what did they say? What did they say?
Well, Serenity, why don't you describe it, because I've been talking too much.
Okay, it depends on which one it is. Because the one I heard was that some of them were breaching the idea of the game possibly being $200 just base.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
GTA 6.
Okay.
And then there was a follow-up statement.
So they're going to make this a $200 game.
Well, but the reason why was because they're basically saying when you buy a game, the price should somehow take into account, whether it's worth the price, should factor in how many hours of gameplay you get. And so with our spanking new game, it's like an open universe, right? So you can do hours and hours and hours and hours of stuff versus, I still remember, what was it? Heavenly Sword came out. It was one of the first PS3 games. And I remember getting that and sitting down with my friends, and we played through the whole $70
it was like 5
game.
Or 6 hour.
Yeah, we played through it the first time in 6 hours, and we weren't even trying to do a speed run. And it's like,
sorry, Functional's chat.
good.
Bitch.
And so but I mean, if you're trying to say you should buy our game rather than somebody else's game because you get better value from our game because you can play for hundreds of hours, that's fine. But I don't see people paying $200 to buy GTA 6 except for the real hardcore fans of the franchise.
And the thing is like, Rockstar does make good games. I love Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is an amazing game. I never would have bought it if it was $200, because no. The thing is that the multiple playable hours for GTA games comes from the online content. Now, if they have a problem with that, then they need to go to the WoW model of charging like $20 a month to use online services. Because then it gives people the ability to choose what they want to do. See? TOS agrees with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing. Like, don't do the initial, let people who want to play offline pay offline. But the people who want to play online, go down, pay the extra $15 a month or whatever on top of the game, and go from there. I'm also right with Cannibalistic Wizard. If it's not on Game Pass, I ain't touching this game. Because I don't like GTA. I like Red Dead because it has horses. But I do not like GTA games. But yeah, no, Rockstar, they've gotten, there's no nice way to put this. After Red Dead 2, they've gotten sucked off so much by so many people that I think their head's getting kind of big for the doorway. And now I think they think they're not untouchable, but they think they're hardcore amazing. And it's like, yeah, you can get people to pay for like the special editions of games and like come in very specific things, and they'll pay $200 because that's usually what happens with some special editions of games. But expecting everyone to play it and pay that much money, no.
Companies getting arrogant like that can be the first symptom of fatal disease for that company.
Well, Rockstar can do that. I have a feeling that unless Rockstar has done very well, GTA 6 is probably going to be their Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
They'll still work on it and they'll fix it, but the first year it's going to have problems.
Yeah. Careful, Icarus.
Yeah, it's like, calm down, boys.
Well, I think we've reached the 2-hour mark, and it would be a good idea to let Skep get his beauty sleep, along with the rest of us, of course, because we don't want to have discount fillers from a bad plastic surgeon at some point. So this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. It has been a genuine pleasure tonight, despite the fact that it started poorly with StreamYards being a giant sack of crap. Overall, things have gone pretty well. And chat, yeah, you guys were really on fire tonight. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I love chat tonight. You guys were amazing.
If it's not too much effort,
Well
give us a
done, chat.
like. It helps my fragile ego. And with that, the zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.